Eclipses are the hands of fate. They really change our lives. And every 18 and a half years, they come back around into the same sign and close to the degree points. Now, for personal planets, you really want to look at about 1 to 3 degree orbs. So you want the eclipse to be within 1 to 3 degrees away from where the eclipse is happening, your personal planet. But you can go a little further to maybe 6 degrees away, but it's really going to be really felt if it's like right on your sun, moon, Venus. These are life-changing events. This is where you meet new people, start new ventures, start new jobs, and you can always look back and see every 18 and a half and every 9 years what was happening in that area of life for you. If you are feeling brave, comment down below how eclipses to personal planets have affected you in the past. Other people love reading these and they could learn from your own experience. I'm going to put up here the next few years of eclipses. I started with 2023 because we are in a cycle, in the middle of a cycle of eclipses in the Aries and Libra axis. Essentially, each cycle of eclipses is advancing the theme of your soul's journey. So you're always advancing, and the theme lasts for 18 to 24 months, the cycle of eclipses. Sometimes 4 signs in 1 year are a part of it, sometimes just 2. Right now we're in the Libra and Aries axis. So any planets that you have in the Libra and Aries axis are affected, but especially if they're close to the degree. Sometimes you won't feel eclipses. The next cycle of eclipses will be on the Virgo and Pisces axis. After that, we're going to have eclipses on the Leo and Aquarius axis. Then it will go into the Capricorn Cancer axis. So they just repeat, and they're always affecting different signs for about 18 to 24 months. So each time we have eclipses in the same areas as we did 9 years ago, 18 years ago, your soul is evolving when it comes to those areas of your life. Not just those areas, but what those planets represent for you. Every 9 to 18 years, you are relearning and growing in that aspect of your life. So it seems chaotic, it seems out of the blue, because other people always play a role when it comes to personal planets and eclipses in certain points in your chart. Solar eclipses with the North Node, or Rahu, as they call it in Vedic astrology, bring new and exciting opportunities. But there could be a lot of chaos involved. But it can bring something new. It brings new beginnings into your life. Lunar eclipses with the South Node, or Ketu, bring endings. It's like a full moon on steroids. They bring endings, emotional things into your life. You can be very emotional when there is a South Node eclipses happening on your planets or points. It brings back past memories. It can bring back people from your past situations into your life. But with both North and South Node eclipses on your personal planets and points, there is always a sense of letting something go, like cleaning your closet out and bringing something new in, like you're going shopping and bringing in new pieces into your wardrobe. So you're always evolving in a way by letting go of something and bringing something new in. We only have space for so much in our lives, and sometimes we don't even know that we need to evolve. It's time to evolve. So the universe will just do it for us, and eclipses are the time where that happens. So I'm going to discuss here what it's like when the eclipse makes contact with your personal planets or important points. When there's an eclipse on your sun, your body, health, vitality, looks, your style, the way you dress, your career, public image, the father, the government, but really anything in life, because your sun is so important, is changing. So something in that area of life is changing for you. The relationship you have with your father, with the public, at work, it's a time where you might start a business, get promotions, you might change your personal style. Your health might get better, might get worse. Depending on the eclipse, you could have a north node eclipse and a south node eclipse, but both actually can cause a lot of havoc. During the eclipse or within the month of the eclipses that are happening on your sun, even the whole year that they are in the sign of your sun, you will be going through these changes. So when they finally pass to the next sign, you can see these changes. They can come with a lot of chaos. A lot of times eclipses come out of the blue. Things start happening out of the blue and it's chaotic and everything around you is changing. It's always good to wait to make major decisions until after an eclipse is passed because things are still coming to light. You are still receiving information. When it's the sun, it could be about your career, your image, any information from work that you need to get or maybe put out. You want to wait on that. But you don't just look at the sun, you look at what house the sun rules that will give you additional information. So say you are an Aries ascendant, then the house will, the fifth house is what the sun rules in your chart. So wherever your sun is placed, always remember that fifth house things, creativity, romance, children, could also come into play during the eclipse because that is also affecting that area. If you are a Virgo ascendant, then the sun rules your 12th house. So even if the sun is in your 10th house and this is affecting your career, your public image, your work, maybe you're starting a business, getting promotions, the 12th house can come into play. So it can be a time where you actually lose a job, you lose a source of income. Some bills come or people are gossiping about you, gossiping about your image. All these things can also come into play. So always look at the house ruled by the sun and what the sun represents in your chart. Which house it's sitting in will also give you additional information. But generally, when an eclipse hits right on your sun, you will really feel like your whole world is changing. Your job may be changing, your look may be changing. It can even be a time where you fall in love, decide to move abroad, move to a different state. You make major life decisions, or major life decisions are made for you. The sun can rule the government as well. So you can be getting papers, emails, messages, maybe from higher authorities at this time. The sun rules your father. So there could be interesting developments in the life of your father or home and family members that involve your father's side of the family. Now, the eclipse on your sun can also, as any eclipse, show you somebody's true colors. Say the sun is the planet that rules your 7th house. So if you are an Aquarius ascendant, the sun rules your 7th house. You could find out around the eclipse time, maybe that your partner was being deceitful, dishonest. So secrets can be exposed around the eclipse. Your secrets, your partner's secrets, family's secrets, things that you are not even aware of will come to light and the information will somehow come to you. That's why a lot of times it is chaotic. Eclipses are chaotic and it feels like it's just happening to you and you have no control over it because other people are involved and it's the universe's way of moving you forward because a lot of us would never move forward unless we had to. Humans are kind of designed to like life the way it is. We don't like change, and very few times in our lives we take the initiative to change without something being presented to us. So an eclipse is always presenting something to you, a situation, a scenario, or bringing things to light you didn't know about so that you are forced to make the changes or other people make them for you. Say the sun rules your 7th house and you are an Aquarius ascendant. Maybe you are going through a divorce. Your partner leaves you. Later you meet the love of your life, the person you want to be with and everything's perfect with. But had that person never left you, this would have never happened for you. So this is why eclipses are emotional, because a lot of times it's the things out of our control that are happening. We don't want them to happen, but they are happening. And they're both good and bad things happening around eclipses, so you can never really tell. Eclipses to the moon are going to be extremely felt. The moon rules your parents, your family, your mother, the roots, where you come from, your heritage, your home, your security, your emotional needs, how you view the world, really, your children, your pets, where you live. Moon also rules the public. So when you are having eclipses to the moon, you can be more psychic, more intuitive, and you're picking things up from other realms as well. But you're going to feel extremely emotional because this is really rocking your emotional security and maybe even starting new families. You can get pregnant. Eclipses are always present when we start families. I always see them when you get married, buy a house, get a divorce, meet a partner, have a breakup, have your children. Eclipses are always happening on some important point in your chart, or they were within the last year or two when these extreme changes in your life occur. So your life is going to feel like an emotional roller coaster when an eclipse is happening to your moon. It's going to be something old is leaving and something new is coming in, but it is going to affect you on an emotional level. Your emotional security will be shaken up. For me, eclipses to my moon have been life-changing. I remember when I was about 9.5 years old, an eclipse happened on my moon and North Node. I have moon and North Node conjunction in my chart, and my whole my family moved from Europe to America. So it was so emotional for me. I remember crying and leaving your friends, your whole family behind, and not speaking English at that point yet. So it was very hard, but at the same time, so exciting. Pregnancy, moving, getting married, finding something that emotionally fulfills you, fills your soul, all huge things like that. You can also even lose family members. It could be an emotional time where family members pass away because this is your sense of security. So your sense of security is being shaken in order for your soul to grow and experience new things. So it's never easy when an eclipse happens to your moon. So look back to the last time you had an eclipse on your moon, especially in close conjunction. I guarantee you, your sense of security, your emotional needs were changed. And it could have been a very happy time, a traumatic time, a chaotic time, but something shifted for you. And each time the eclipse hits your moon, makes contact with your moon, these emotional needs and your security will be challenged in some way in order for your soul to keep developing and to grow. It tries to bring in new experiences for you. We sometimes don't want them, but we get them anyways. And that's why it's kind of like fate. It's out of our hands. The eclipses are fated events and they bring us to different places. They bring us different people and we evolve through these changes along the way. Eclipses to your Mars can bring a lot of changes and chaos in the lives of your siblings. Maybe something's going on in the lives of your siblings, in the relationships you have with your siblings. Arguments can take place. You can also get hurt more easily. Passion and drive. What brings you passion and drive? What drives you to do what you do? Now, these things can change. One day you can be really excited about dancing. You have an eclipse on your Mars and all of a sudden you somehow get into golf. You can be introduced into a hobby that brings you passion for a very long time. Look to see what Mars rules in your chart. For example, if you are a Libra ascendant, Libra rising, Mars rules your 7th house. So there could be also meeting your spouse, meeting an important relationship, an important business partner, if this is happening. Or it could be letting go of a relationship, a divorce, letting go of an old business. So always look to see what house Mars rules in your chart if you're having an eclipse on your Mars, because it will add extra layers into this description for you. Not just the house it's happening for you, but the planet and what the planet rules in your chart. Mars can bring in a lot of drive, a lot of passion. You can change your physical appearance with an eclipse on the Mars. you can start working out, getting into, Pilates, boxing, swimming, golf, any kind of sport that gets you excited. You can even change your diet, your eating habits, your collections. If you collect things, that can change. Mars can change relationships and what you're attracted to. Sometimes look to see what happens every 9 to 18 years when there is an eclipse on your Mars, especially if it's in close conjunction. Say you are a Sagittarius ascendant. Mars rules your 5th house of love, romance, creativity, games of chance. This could be a time when you win big in the stock market. It can be a time where you find love, you fall in love, you have more romantic encounters, you get pregnant, or something's going on in the lives of your children. For Sagittarius ascendants, Mars also rules the 12th house, the house of losses, so you can have an unexpected bill. There could be some backstabbing people in your life, some gossip about you, around you. Also, it's a time where you could be more reclusive, daydream a little bit more. So taking the 5th and 12th house into account, you can say it's going to be losses on account of children, on account of romantic partners or creative pursuits, or fighting a cause for your children or romantic partners. So both the house that it rules will dictate what's happening to you, where it sits, and of course what the planet means. Mars rules what you are hungry for in this life. A South Node eclipse conjunct your Mars can take away certain desires that you've had previously or for a long time. Now, if the North Node conjuncts your Mars, it will, bring up more desires. And for women, Mars also rules boyfriends and people that you are attracted to. If you look at the sign of your Mars and the placement, you're attracted to these people. So if you have Mars, say, in the 3rd house, you could be attracted to the Gemini types. And Mars conjunct North Node can bring up certain desires for certain people around you. Be more cautious because we can get hurt more easily. Just cuts, bruises, falls can happen with a Mars eclipse. So it's a time to be more cautious and more careful. For an Aries or Scorpio rising, an eclipse on your Mars will change your appearance, your whole path in life, the people in your life. Everything that you do, you can drastically change your appearance, your body, and the people in your life because it rules your 1st house. Mars is like the soldier in your astrology chart. So sometimes when you have an eclipse on your Mars, it's time to stand up for yourself. Stand up for your beliefs. Stand up for somebody in your life. Maybe somebody needs your help. But it is also a time to take initiative. So if you've been lazy or you've been putting things off, an eclipse on your Mars could kind of, kick your behind into doing something, taking action to get the results that you want. When you have an eclipse on your Mars, it's time to take action and do something different. Live in a different way. It's like telling the soldier to work in a different way. Now you need a different routine. So it can also change your routines drastically. Having an eclipse on your Mercury can literally change your coworkers, who you work with, your neighbors, your neighborhood, work and school, learning environments. It can also change your siblings' relationships with your siblings. It can change travel plans, any kind of computers, cars, equipment that you use to get everything that you need done. It can change your siblings or the information that you share with people. So any kind of communication is ruled by Mercury. Anything we study, our intelligence is ruled by Mercury. So an eclipse, a North Node eclipse on your Mercury could signify a time when you are studying or learning or picking up a new skill. You are learning something that will be important for a very long time. You could have an eclipse on your Mercury and find a new subject that you love, or maybe something you need to study further, because with Mercury, unlike Mars, you're maybe not so passionate about it, but you need the schooling or the education to go further in life, and it will really help you. It could be like finding a subject, or maybe you get into a college or a university and then you have a job for a very long time. So Mercury is skills we use every day. Maybe you can pick up a new language. I've seen a lot of people want to study a different language, or they want to maybe study how to make videos, photography. Anything that could advance your career or advance your skills in life is ruled by Mercury. Now, say having a South Node eclipse on your Mercury could maybe be letting go of an outdated skill, a skill that is no longer useful to set you on a forward path. So you maybe are letting go of one skill and learning another. You are maybe letting go of all your old equipment, your computer equipment, and upgrading to new equipment. You're buying a new car. Your neighbors around you are changing, and maybe the relationships with them are changing. Maybe you had neighbors you were really close to, and this is a time they move and new neighbors move in, and you have to make new relationships in your neighborhood or at work or at school. Changing schools is also seen by this. Mercury also rules any kind of travel and transportation. And I have seen with eclipses on Mercury that, accidents may happen. So it is wise to be more cautious. Either that or your plans totally can fall apart. You plan something and it totally falls apart and becomes something else. Also, look what Mercury rules in your chart. If you are a Gemini or Virgo ascendant, an eclipse to your Mercury can change your look, your physical body. You can, beautify yourself, get all glammed up, or let go of an old fashioned style that you no longer want. And everything around you in your life can change. Say if you are a Virgo ascendant, so not only your first house can change, but Gemini rules your 10th house of career. So also your career and public image can change. So you want to add in the details of what the house means that Mercury rules as well. Not just Mercury and what that signifies, but the house that it rules. If you are a Libra ascendant, let's say, then Mercury rules your 9th house. So it could be a time when you are studying something, or you get on a new spiritual path. You travel to foreign lands, or meet foreign people from different lands that change your life, or meet a teacher that expands your life. Applying to get into college, you're applying to get a visa, you want to move to a foreign country, or you're settling a legal case, or a legal case is beginning for you. For a Libra ascendant, Virgo rules the 12th house. So that will also come into play, because remember, Mercury always rules 2 houses. So if you're a Libra ascendant, you could also be having losses or paying out something. Not only traveling, but you could also feel more reclusive at this time. Maybe you're more reclusive because you're studying, you're learning something new, you're visiting different countries, or you're just enjoying bed pleasures more. So not only where Mercury sits, but the 2 houses that Mercury rules will be involved in an eclipse to your Mercury. So it's going to expand what you know. It's trying to teach you different things. So you want different experiences, and you want different skill sets, and you want to let go of old skill sets that are outdated and you no longer need in your life for the future when an eclipse happens to your Mercury. An eclipse on your Jupiter will bring in changes in philosophical views, higher education, spirituality, spiritual education, teachers, the law. If you're a woman, you can meet your husband, or something new happening in the lives of your husband, in the lives of your teachers, of your educators. Jupiter also rules education in the form of you are the teacher. You are publishing your work. You are putting your work out there. You are gaining students. You are meeting teachers. Maybe you're going through a court case, a legal case for justice. It also rules foreigners, foreign lands, travel, expansion of the mind. So you are expanding your views. You could think one way, and then all of a sudden an eclipse happens on your Jupiter and you change your way of thinking. You could leave a religious philosophy and start a spiritual pursuit. If you have a South Node eclipse on your Jupiter, it could be you're leaving behind an educational system. views that you may have had about the world, about people around you. Maybe letting go of an old teacher and finding a new one. If it is a North Node eclipse, you could be expanding your philosophical views from a book or a course. A new teacher comes your way that's going to expand your view on this education that you're pursuing. A law case maybe is underway and you're seeking justice for something. The North Node is going to give you the go-ahead to pursue new beginnings. And the South Node, you're going to be letting something go, whether it's views, an education system, or maybe even a partner. For women, a lot of times you can meet your partner, your future husband, when you have an eclipse on your Jupiter. Jupiter rules 2 signs, Sagittarius and Pisces. So also, whatever those signs are in your chart will be affected when you have an eclipse on your Jupiter. If you're a Sagittarius ascendant, Jupiter rules your 1st and 4th house. So your major changes to you, your overall life, your appearance will come from your security and emotional needs, 4th house. Mother, homeland. This could be a time where you have a major move, buy a vehicle, redecorate your house, welcome a new member into your family. And through that 1st house, you change your views on life. Your political and philosophical views can change because of a new home, a new family member, becoming a parent. If you are a Pisces rising, then Jupiter rules your 1st and 10th house. So your philosophical views, higher education, religion, spirituality, all those views can change because of work, because of your public image, or maybe you are at this time changing yourself, your body, your image to the world because of your philosophical views. You are changing your style and the way you dress because of a career move you are taking. If you are a Virgo rising, Jupiter would rule your 4th and 7th house. So maybe because of a partnership, because of meeting the love of your life, because of getting married, you are moving and changing a home. This could be happening as well. Your philosophical views on life and your education is changing because of business partners, a spouse, or a relationship that means a lot to you. You are maybe becoming a teacher out of your home. All these things are possible. Of course, always look at the planet first, but to give more context, look at the houses that it rules. Eclipses happening on your Jupiter, whether South Node or North Node, want your old ways of thinking to disappear and expand your horizons. Whether it is through teaching, publishing, travel, you are expanding your horizons every time you try something new. Jupiter is also the planet of wealth. It is a wealth-giving planet, which is why you can find teachers that help you make money. So it doesn't have to be spiritual. It could be business-like for some of you. Not everybody's chart is affected the same way, but Jupiter wants you to expand. That's why our personal views change. Our personal beliefs change when Jupiter is activated in the chart, because it's the time when we read, when we study, when we find a teacher, when we travel. And what happens when you do those things is you expand the way that you think. Sometimes your old belief systems fall out because you decide right now through travel or through learning that your old way of thinking is not just outdated, but it's not true. It's through education that we learn what we never knew before. And Jupiter is allowing you to completely change from within on a mental level as well as physically, through travel, through experience. Eclipses happening on your Venus indicates a change in beauty, personal style, love relationships, money, relationships with business partners, women. This can affect your reproductive organs, reproductive health, as well as kidneys. Libra, the sign of Libra rules the sign of kidneys. So it is also very important to watch your health. Personally for you, this can be a time where you are falling in love or falling out of love. Money situations can change up or down. Your beauty and personal style changes. What you find beautiful changes, or you no longer find things important that you used to when it comes to style and beauty routine. I know every time I have eclipses on my Venus, which are happening right now for me, I always change my personal style, what I find beautiful, what I don't find beautiful. That's how our styles evolve, is through the eclipses on your Venus. You will find that maybe your old style is outdated, you don't like it anymore, you want to move into something new. Now, this is no matter what it rules in your chart. Venus, personally for you, will always rule beauty, style, money, and relationships. So with a South Node eclipse on your Venus, you could be letting go of beauty routines, clothes that you no longer want, and cleaning out your closet. It can mark a time of a painful breakup, a separation with somebody, or you can rekindle your romance, or somebody from your past can come back into your life. With a South Node eclipse, other people play a bigger role. So other people are more in charge of what's going to be happening during the eclipse. With a North Node eclipse, it's more you and where you need to go. Your new path in life is carving out. So with a North Node eclipse, it's meeting new people, new situations, having to experience change. Whether painful or not, it always shakes up your feelings, your emotions when it comes to love. It also changes what you find beautiful. So you may change your hair, your makeup, your clothes, your decor in your home, as well as change your friendships, your close one-to-one friendships, especially when it comes to women and women in your family. Women in your family could be going through issues, and generally it indicates a time where women go through more issues. Now, this could also be a time where you start making more money. You start a business or join a business partnership. But eclipses on your Venus are very monumental because love and emotions are so big for us. Even our aesthetics and the clothes we choose, the way we put ourselves out into the world is always changing and evolving. And eclipses on your Venus mark a turning point in not just your style, what you find beautiful, but love and your emotions. Pregnancies can happen, marriage can happen. It's nice to go back and look every 18 and a half years how your relationships evolved. Look when there's eclipses right on your Venus, and go back every 8 to 9 years and every 18 years and see how it played out. Because every time you have an eclipse, it's going to be the same theme, but it'll play out in a different way because you're at a different point in your life. But this will mark an extremely important turning point when it comes to love relationships and who you're meant to be with. Eclipses are like the hands of fate. It is fated events. So if you're meant to be with somebody else, around eclipse on your Venus, somebody could leave you. You could have a bad breakup, and then all of a sudden you meet somebody else. A few months later, it could take place within 6 months to a year, especially when it happens right on your Venus. You can meet somebody that's going to be important to you for a very long time, as well as have very painful endings to other relationships. Or sometimes you just let go of these emotions you've been harboring for somebody, especially with a South Node key to your Venus. It could help you let go of any emotions you were holding on to, maybe an ex-partner. You were harboring these emotions for a very long time, and it finally lets you let go. Now, looking at examples, we can look at a Libra Ascendant. Venus rules your first house, so you can change your style, the way you look. Maybe you'll even have to change the person who cuts your hair, change up your makeup routine, your beauty routine. But it also rules your 8th house of other people's money and events that happen out of the blue. The 8th house is sudden happenings. So this could be a tumultuous time because it not only rules your beauty and changing of that nature, but it also can rule changes in money and things happening all of a sudden. So it could be sudden breakups, sudden different realities when it comes to your money situation, taxes, inheritances, and shared money. Shared resources with other people could go through major ups and downs when you have an eclipse on your Venus, not just your love relationship. So it will be a monumental role for you when an eclipse hits your Venus because it's your ruling planet and it rules the 1st and 8th house for you. Say you are an Aries ascendant, then Taurus rules your 2nd house and Libra rules your 7th house. So your relationships, marriage partnerships, business partnerships, and your money, the money that you make, your possessions, what you buy, what you find beautiful, all those things will be changing along with everything that Venus rules. So for you, it directly rules relationships. It rules relationships and the second house, family, your possessions, and how you make money. So for you, it can signify a time where you start a new business, you start a new venture, a new way of making money, accumulate new possessions. Or if it's a south node eclipse to your Venus, it could be letting go of possessions, letting go of a spouse or a relationship. So you always want to look to the houses that it rules, not just the planet, to get more context to your situation. Personally, I have had my biggest, loves and also heartbreaks on eclipses to my Venus. Also, you can watch Mars. When Mars transits the degree of the eclipse point, that's another time that you can bump into somebody, meet somebody, and start a relationship. You might not even be ready for a relationship, or you might be in another relationship right now. But when you have an eclipse on your Venus, it does usually shake up relationships. It can also take relationships, existing ones, to the next level. A lot of couples will get engaged. They get married around the time of an eclipse, just as well as some get divorced or part ways. This is huge for our love lives and our relationships. Comment down below if you've ever had a south or north node eclipse on your Venus and how it affected you. Other people love to read those comments and they could learn from your experience. When there's an eclipse on your Saturn, Saturn rules the elderly. Routines are limitations, fears, obstacles. It rules the government. It rules time. And it rules patience, practice, being practical, and also working hard on something, putting in the effort, and also knowing when to grow up. What is important now? What isn't important now? Which area of life could you use more structure in? That is what Saturn represents. This is a time when the elderly in your family could be going through a harder time. People could pass away. Saturn is really more of a karmic planet. It is the planet of time, and it will show you time. You will feel when you're getting older and when time's running out, when you need to improve on something. It might give you health scares, or you may lose jobs, money. There could be problems with government. There could be obstacles and fears that you're going through that you have to get through. Now, Saturn also pays really well if you're doing the hard work. It wants you to do the hard work. And a lot of times, an eclipse on your Saturn is a time when you can reap the rewards for all the hard work that you have put into a business, into a family, into a relationship. So it's not only your fears, but it also is what you have accomplished. Saturn is the natural ruler of Capricorn. And Capricorn is the sign of working hard and being diligent about things. An eclipse on your Saturn could also mean getting raises, promotions, and being recognized for your work, especially if you have been putting in hard work into a certain area of your life. Saturn rules bones. It rules teeth. So it can signify a time where you need a dental work, where you are feeling more fragile or health elements are bothering you more. So Saturn is the god of time, essentially. And it's always when we think of time, how valuable time is, that we want to change and be more responsible. A north node eclipse on your Saturn will give you new responsibilities, new routines in life. Whether you're ready or not, it is going to shine a light on things you need to be more responsible with and for. A south node eclipse on Saturn will release you from limitations and responsibilities that are no longer conducive to the way that you are living. So a lot of times it will release you from responsibilities that are very hard for you. So it can be a good thing. If there's been obstacles, it can remove obstacles for you. It can also be emotional, cause emotional pain because, say you are taking care of an elderly parent and they pass on. That is releasing you from now those responsibilities. But it can be a painful process to release these responsibilities. A lot of the things we are responsible for, we're like tied to, it's our identity. Now, Saturn rules something different for everybody. If you are a Capricorn and Aquarius ascendant, it rules you. It rules over your body, your whole life. So it will rule your style, your face, and everything that you are planning, because it rules your first house. So for others, for let's say Virgo and Libra ascendants, it also rules the fifth house. So love, romance, and children. So when they have an eclipse on Saturn, something in the area of love, romance, and children could be changing for them. If you are a Gemini ascendant, Saturn rules your 8th and 9th house. So your philosophy, traveling, your schooling, and your 8th house, shared resources, intimacy, your phobias, all of that could be changing when you have an eclipse on your Saturn. So it's important to look at what Saturn rules in your chart, because in those areas, you could not only experience delays, setbacks, and fears, but you could also reap great rewards. Saturn doesn't just give bad results. It gives very good results a lot of the times. It gives raises, promotions, because it makes you responsible and it makes you grow. So you look at things in a different way when you have an eclipse on your Saturn. It's like you wake up, you get some news. Maybe it's unsettling, and you change how you operate in that area of life because of this. So maybe you become a more responsible parent. You are dating around, say you are a Leo ascendant, Saturn rules your 7th house, so maybe you were always a playboy. You have an eclipse on your Saturn and you meet the love of your life, and now you want to change the way you do relationships because of it. Saturn can finally give you a partner you are willing to change your ways for. Saturn is a reap what you sow planet. So having eclipses on Saturn can be good and bad. Usually it's a little bit of both. If you have a lunar eclipse on Saturn, you could be, saying goodbye to outdated routines. And maybe you don't have to be responsible in certain areas of your life anymore, and now responsible in different areas of life, You could essentially be giving up a job to be a stay-at-home parent. So your responsibilities can change drastically when there is an eclipse on your Saturn. That is what I notice the most, is daily routines and responsibilities are changing. What is important to you now as what was important to you 8 years ago? Maybe it used to be that you needed to be a responsible student, and now you need to be a responsible employee. Or you have different responsibilities at work, at home, with your partner, with your children. So it changes your responsibilities, essentially. Eclipses happening on your Uranus can mark breakthroughs, sudden new directions where everything seems different, or you have more different ideas where it comes to the area of that house and the sign that it's in. So something new could be coming, or new doors could be opening up for you, especially if it is a North Node eclipse. If it is a South Node eclipse, maybe it is a change or a new direction that you have to leave behind in order to find a new path. These aren't felt as much, but if it does conjunct your Uranus to the exact degree, you can get this flashes of changes and breakthroughs, maybe to problems and ideas you've been having. So it can really open you up to new ways of being, a new routine, what you need to change, a shift in perspective. When eclipses happen on your Neptune, you can have deception, theft, affairs. Now, Neptune is also like a higher octave of Venus, so falling in love. But a lot of times we can see deception, theft, and painful separations, or poof, out of the blue, you are dating somebody, and out of the blue, you are not. Things like that can happen when there's an eclipse on your Neptune. It is really important to keep yourself grounded, because Neptune deceives, and it deceives in a weird way. You have this fantasy, this delusion almost, this illusion of what you're going through. And the person that you're with, the person you met, and they're completely different, or things could be going on you do not know about. So in a way, an eclipse on Neptune, on your personal Neptune, can reveal to you deceptions. So if it is a South Node eclipse, it could be a letting go of a deception, an illusion that you've been having about a certain area of your life or about a certain person. If it is a North Node eclipse happening on your Neptune, it could be that someone is coming into your life who's a little sneaky, deceptive, or you may not know the reality of the situation. You may not know the gravity of what you're getting yourself into. So it is very important to stand back and write a pros and cons list, because Neptune can be really deceiving. So it's important to watch out, especially when it comes to friendships, business partners, and love relationships. Neptune can really run a lot of scams on you. Scams, theft, all of that can happen, and you can just be extremely deceived by people that are very close to you. And this can happen for a really long time. A Neptune transit, even in a house, lasts a long time. And wherever Neptune sits in your personal chart is where you are a bit closed off when it comes to the truth. So eclipses there can open you up to seeing the truth in people. So it's good to watch out around the times that an eclipse makes contact with your Neptune, because things may be revealed to you that have been hidden for a very long time. Neptune also inspires us. Art, beauty, photography, jewelry making, sculptures. So this is fantastic. If you have an eclipse on your Neptune, the best way to use it is your artistic abilities, your creative abilities, whether it is writing or drawing, painting, digital art. It gives longevity. Neptune, like Saturn, gives longevity. So these creative abilities will stay with you for a long time. When you have eclipses on your Pluto, you can go through transformations. You can find occult knowledge or maybe get into spirituality. It is about obsessions, power, intense love, enemies, and the power you have over others. This could be a time where you find the power within you. Maybe you've been shy your whole life and now you're like, forget it. I don't care what people think of me. I'm just going to go out there and show people who I really am. I do not care what anyone thinks. So things like that can happen. It is transformational when it comes to your own inner power. So there could be a lot of power struggles, love relationships, obsessions. If it is a South Node eclipse on your Pluto, maybe you are letting go of certain relationships or certain obsessions that you have, certain addictions that you may have. If it is a North Node eclipse, it could be a time where you find something that transforms your life. A relationship transforms your life. People transform your life. Or you find inner power. You find the power to do whatever it is you're planning to do. Look where Pluto is in your chart, because that house and that sign will tell you even more about what this Pluto eclipse will bring you. It could bring you, if you have Pluto in Libra, it could be about beauty and relationships, the power dynamic in relationships and beauty, not just for you, but also for the world at large. Right now, we're having eclipses in Aries and Libra, and we're seeing such a huge shift in relationships. If you watch social media, the men's movement and the women's movement, and how they view relationships, how people think marriage is outdated and relationships should be done this way. Other people think it should be done this way. It's really a power dynamic at play. Like, who has the power? Who has the leverage? So you can find your own personal power when you have eclipses on your Pluto. Having an eclipse on your birthday, or say within 4 or 5 days of your birthday, will make this year a critical year of change. The people coming into your life will change your life, or something about your life will change. Even when you're young, an eclipse on your birthday could signify a time maybe where you start painting or playing a sport. Now, look back farther, 18 years. This could be something that now you're going to be doing for 18, 20 years. It could be a new passion, a new love, a new best friend. But something in your life has to change, or you're welcoming something new with a North Node, letting go of something old with a South Node, and bringing in something new, or you're letting go of something so you can make room and make the time for something new. Another important part is the 180 degree mark away from your birthday. So if you have a birthday, say February 5th, on August 5th will be the 180 degree point away from your birthday, which can also mark a time of intense change. Changes to your health, your routine, your body, the friends that you have around. It's just a lot of changes can be happening, and it could last a full year of changes, critical changes. So maybe you start painting, and for the next 18 years, you love painting. And you become a painter, or you start taking photography classes, and then you're a photographer for a very long time. You start a business venture, and that business venture takes off, and it pays your bills for the next 18 years. So it is a time when you will find something you love. Something will come to you that is meant to be in your life for a very long time. When you have eclipses on your south node and your north node, whether it is the same sign or when they're opposite, this is a nodal return. And this is fantastic for getting you on your soul's journey, on the right track. So wherever they are, whatever house they are in and the sign that they're in, it will tell you a little bit more about them. So say you have the north node in your first house and the south node in your seventh. When you have a nodal return, especially the first one, you're going to notice things shift dramatically for you. In the area of you, your personal life, the decisions that you make, and relationships, business partners, love, romantic relationships, all kinds of relationships. So you might be, because you have South Node in the seventh house, always focused on relationships, making them work, attracting people that might be draining. It might be hard to connect to. You might feel like this is the love of your life, but after a while of being with this person, you feel like you are not connecting with them. You can't connect with them. You have a nodal return. What this will do is dramatic changes will happen in your life when it comes to relationships and your own personal life path. So someone might break up with you. They might leave you. You might decide to leave them. Divorces, sudden meetings with people will happen. But what it will signify is a turning point in your life to really shift you where you are meant to go. The North Node is what you are supposed to experience in this life. So it will be a year to 18 months where your life will shift dramatically to get you on the right path. Because we tend to, the younger we are, focus on the South Node so much. A nodal return sometimes is easier for some people if you are naturally going towards your North Node. Most of us are always trying to cling to our South Node. Now, the ideal is to actually have a balance between the two, but that is really hard for a lot of people. So a nodal return will shake things up and take you to where you're supposed to be going. So it can be a traumatic, emotional time, but at the same time, it could be an exciting, exhilarating time in your life where you're making these huge shifts and changes when it comes to you, your personality, your looks, and the relationships you're having with other people. Another example would be if you have the North Node in the 11th house and the South Node in the 5th. A nodal return will shift things from creativity, children, love, romance, to groups, friendships, organizations, belonging somewhere, sharing your work. Maybe you are a creative person that's always working on something, but you're kind of always to yourself, you know? You want to hang out by yourself and just be creative. A nodal return can make you expose your creativity and put it out into the world. You know, it'll shift the dynamic there where love, romance will not be as important, or something in these areas will happen when it comes to groups and friends and children, romance, hobbies. Something will happen to shift your perspective to the other side. Wherever the North Node is where it wants you to go. Now, if you've been keeping a good balance in your life by going to both your South Node and North Node, it won't be as extreme. But a lot of times, a lot of us are always stuck in our South Node, especially the first half of our life. So a nodal return can be very traumatic and painful, so that you would have to turn somewhere. You know, this could even signify maybe having a miscarriage or losing a partner or a emotional breakup. Something like that could happen, so that you go seek out other people and like-minded people, like-minded groups, like-minded studies. It will try to shift your perspective to see where you're supposed to go in this life, what your life path truly is all about. So the more stuck in the south node you are, the more painful a nodal return can be. It could be shocking and painful. It could be exciting as well, because really it always balances the two. So it could be a time when you're also having love in your life. You found love, new love. You have a child, you get pregnant, you find a creative hobby. It can go both ways, but it's usually because really it's supposed to be balanced. You're supposed to use both of them. The south node are your natural gifts. And that's the reason we cling to them so much, because it's natural. It's what we know. But if you never go after what your north node represents, when a nodal return comes through, it can be traumatic because it's like making you go there. It's shifting you there even though you don't want to. Nodal returns are meant to shake up your life and get you going to where you're supposed to go. But a lot of times we're already headed there anyway, so they seem easy. For some people, it's just easier. If you have a personal planet that is conjunct the north node, these things will just come naturally to you. They'll be easier for you. If you have planets conjunct the south node, it will be a little harder for you to go to your north node. That is the unknown. So you're attracted to it. You're kind of always flirting with the idea of going in that direction, but you're always scared to take the leap. So this nodal return is there to shake you up, to make you take the leap. Or people come into your life and then naturally you change. That's why a lot of times, how we say people mirror each other. You meet people and come into contact with experiences that are opening up a new path for you. Whether it is moving to a different country, starting a different job, anything in life where you're going in a completely different direction, a lot of times it's other people that are taking us there. So every nodal return, you can meet completely different people, new jobs, new careers, new looks, new relationships come into your life because they are taking you somewhere completely different, that without these experiences and without these people, you might not ever get there. When eclipses happen in your first and seventh house axis, also known as the ascendant and descendant, huge life changes when it comes to you, your personality, your style, the way you look, where you are going in this life, and relationships. This is huge. You will a lot of times see people stay together for the duration of these eclipses and then maybe have a breakup, a divorce, because these are fated events. So these are events outside of your control. This is what's meant to happen. And a lot of times you'll have the biggest marriages, divorces, buying a home, getting a divorce, having a baby. These huge things happen in your life when you have eclipses on your first and seventh house axis. Even starting a new business, joining another business partner, maybe even. But relationships take center stage, whether it is when they leave your life or when they come in. You could be going to the store and it could happen like 2 months before, 2 months after the eclipse. And all of a sudden you run into this person, you meet and you start dating. But this person ends up being in your life for 9 to 18 years. When you meet a person around an eclipse to your seventh house, you could know them for a very long time. They could stay in your life for 9 to 18 years. I have seen this play out over and over. Same thing with your first house. Your whole style can change. You could see somebody and then watch them the next time an eclipse, a north node eclipse happens on the ascendant, and their style will change. Their haircut, their hair color, everything about them changes. You completely change. You might change locations. You might change your personality a lot, because maybe the new people that are coming into your life. A north node eclipse in your first house will mean you yourself are making the change. You are initiating the changes. The people around you might have pushed you, but you are initiating them. You are in charge. You are the driver. If a south node eclipse is happening in your first house, other people are the catalyst for your change. Relationships and other people play a bigger role in the change that you are going through right now. Now, if it's the seventh house, if the north node eclipse is happening in your 7th house. Again, you are the driver. You are making the choices. You are making the choices who to date. You may be presented with new people, but you are making these shift and changes, whether it is because you just fall in love, you meet someone, you fall in love, or someone, you've just had it with someone. You are making the shifts and changes. Same thing if it would be happening on your Venus. If it is a North Node eclipse, you are making the shifts. You are making the changes. If it is a South Node eclipse on your Venus or on your 7th house, other people are the catalyst. They may leave you. So, you might get a divorce, but other people play a bigger role. Business partners and clients come into your life that change your life forever. You didn't expect them to. You didn't call them. They came to you. People will come to you with the South Node, whether it is new people or people from the past or people who you have like past life connections with, past life karma with. South Node eclipse can feel a lot more traumatic, a lot more draining, a lot more emotional for you than a North Node eclipse. A lot of times it can take things away from your life to shift and change your life, which is why you'll see that other people play a bigger role. A lot of times you're not making these decisions. You look back later and you're like, wow, this is fantastic that it happened, but you weren't really in the driver's seat. Other people were. When you have eclipses on your midheaven, also your IC opposite of that, it's like having eclipses on your 4th and 10th house. It's a lot like that. It's about outer security and inner security, finding your purpose, finding your dream job, getting a promotion, changing jobs completely, moving in with somebody. Home and family changes can be happening and career changes can be happening. So if you are having a North Node eclipse on your midheaven, the changes will occur publicly. A lot of times you can become famous, get a better job, start a different career. So you're more focused on what you're doing outside the home. If the North Node eclipse is happening on your IC, kind of your 4th house, the changes are internal. They're internal and they're also about family and family dynamics. If a South Node eclipse is happening on your midheaven, it is also career changes and changes to your public image. But other people are playing a bigger role, and it might be a time where you have to leave a job. You have to move. You're more focused on your family and less on your job. It might be a time where you decide to be a stay-at-home parent or withdraw from work. And if you're having an eclipse, a South Node eclipse on your IC, your 4th house, these changes would be happening in the home. Maybe family dynamics are changing. Family members are leaving. Maybe you are having to leave a house. You're having to move for work. So the changes are about security, inner and outer security. When you have an eclipse on the part of fortune, it is a circle marked with an X. These are Arabic points in astrology. So they're not planets. They are Arabic points. They are fantastic to figure out where your fortune comes from, where your luck is in your chart. They work really great for that. And when you have an eclipse on these or a planet transits these, something could be going on with your physical body, some changes, health, joy, happiness. But a lot of times I see success or finally getting what you want, especially if it is a North Node eclipse. You can get what you want. Your desires can be fulfilled. If it is a South Node eclipse, you could be letting go of something you no longer need to make room for something else. And these aren't as felt as the personal planets, but if it's the exact degree as your part of fortune, you will notice more success in your life. Whether it is with work or just your public image, something in your life is unfolding where luck is on your side. Now, these next few are not as important as your personal planets, but essentially, if you do have a North or South Node eclipse, conjunct, say, Chiron, or if Chiron is involved in the eclipse, there can be painful changes, emotional changes, rejection, fear. So if Chiron is involved in the eclipse, there might be a painful breakup, or you might be reminiscing about a certain somebody. A pain that you've had since childhood could come up and you have to deal with it. Chiron does bring pain. I know some people don't use Chiron at all, and you don't really have to look at it because a lot of times you'll see another planet and they'll be more responsible for the changes that you're experiencing. But Chiron does bring pain. Wherever it sits in your chart, there's a little bit of pain involved there. So a south and north node eclipse on Chiron with Chiron will bring up pain, even if it's just in an emotional state when you're sitting by yourself thinking about something, and you'll just be thinking about how a certain painful experience, changed your life. So you might be reminiscing also when Chiron is involved with the nodes. It could be a time when you are reflecting and reminiscing, and it could be painful. Juno in our chart represents your spouse's image, affairs, cheating. It also represents love and like crises happening in marriage and relationships. So when we have eclipses that conjoin Juno, now I usually do not look at this unless it is exact conjunction. There can be affairs you find out about, a crisis happening within your relationship, or I also see that your spouse, your marriage partner, could also be going through a huge transition and their looks could change. I have seen this with people who go on this huge diet. They lose like 200-300 pounds, and there'll be a north node eclipse on somebody's Juno and their spouse is going through this huge transition, especially their image and their look. But it could also involve your love partners or your spouse's public image. So they could suddenly gain some fame or recognition for their work. But it deals mostly with your partner. So it's more about your partner and your relationships than about you. But it can bring on a crisis in a relationship, a revealing of an affair. So if a south node hits Juno exact, you could maybe find out that your partner has been dishonest with you. Things like that can come up. Solar or lunar eclipse on your Vesta. Again, you should look if it's exact. Things with sexuality, relationship commitments, and domestic responsibilities will come up in your life. It might be a time where you have a baby and all of a sudden you have more domestic responsibilities. Or you are older and you are letting go of some domestic responsibilities in order to go to work or just change your lifestyle. So relationship commitments can also come up. Either you are with the north node, it could be where you are becoming committed to a partner. With the south node, you could be letting go of a commitment, a previous commitment to, the home and family or a relationship. And with the north node, maybe you are starting a new commitment or new responsibilities. So things like that can come up if there is an eclipse or Vesta is somehow involved with a north or south node eclipse. A solar or lunar eclipse is involved in Ceres in your chart. It is about letting go or loss, maybe grieving something, but usually it's a letting something go from your life. If it is a north node eclipse, it is you initiating letting something go. If it is a south node eclipse, it could be other people are, again, the catalyst for you having to let go. Now, usually when it's huge changes, I see personal planets or points involved. But if there's an exact degree on this, you can feel it. A lot of people say they feel it. So I'm going to include it in here. If you have a solar or lunar eclipse on your Pallas, it could be your drive, desires, motivation, getting justice for something, or initiating or starting new talents or skills. So it could be learning something or becoming passionate about something. If it is with the south node, maybe you are letting something go. A drive to do something is no longer there. It's gone. You're not motivated for it anymore. And if it is with the north node, it could be motivation to start something new. You could have new desires and new talents are brought up into your life. New hobbies come up. It is almost like Mars in a sense. So with this, I would look for the exact degree. This is not as felt as personal planets or points, but it's essentially finding motivation, finding new hobbies and new desires, or letting some old desires and hobbies go. Now, if there is North Node or South Node eclipses and they are associated with Lilith in your chart, again, I would usually look at the exact degree for this. There could be hidden desires, maybe hidden desires for somebody, and power and control issues, unresolved emotions and relationships. It can seem a lot like Pluto, again, but it's usually hidden things, hidden emotions, hidden desires that drive you to do things. A relationship hang up. So if it's with the South Node, other people are involved. You might be finding out about unresolved emotions within your relationship coming from your partner. If it is with the North Node, you could be all of a sudden finding these unresolved emotions popping up within your relationships, and you need to deal with them. As the emotions are coming from you, you are in control and you're the one that needs to change. So these kinds of issues can come up if Lilith is involved with the eclipses, especially in your personal chart. If you found this video helpful, like and subscribe for more.